games coming up this weekend. And Olin Buchanan, TexAgs.com, joins us. 365 Sports, Sikkim 365 Radio. Olin, thanks for your time. They have accumulated all of this talent, but not everything is perfect. What were a couple of the must position goals or things they had to know for Jimbo Fisher and company after this weekend?
That's a good question. I think I don't know if they have to know anything yet. Like, for instance, the quarterback competition is going to go into August. I think you would like to know, though, that you would see something at wide receiver, especially after you had one guy was dismissed from the team earlier this year, and maybe linebacker play. You want to see some guys that are playing linebacker show some improvement, like Edgerrin Cooper, Andre White, because quite frankly, the A&M defense wasn't as good against the run last season as they were the year before, and I think most of that goes back to Buddy Johnson. They need to find a guy who can step into the hole, diagnose the play, step in the hole, and end the play at contact.
Olin, does Haynes King, having won the job out of last year's fall camp, give him any kind of advantage now, or is it a completely new competition?
Well, they're saying it's a completely new competition, and the word is that they've been very impressed with both Max Johnson and Connor Weigman. And quite frankly, if you look at all three of them, they have they all have their selling points. I mean, Haynes has been in Jimbo Fisher's system the longest, and Fisher has said before that he thinks he's an NFL caliber quarterback. But Max Johnson has the most playing experience. I mean, he started the most SEC games, and there are those that have been watching him and says, just for outright talent, Weigman has the most. But I would imagine, I believe that Haynes King has the edge. It may not be a huge edge, but I think he has the edge. And if I had to place my bet today, who will be named the quarterback in late August, I'd go with Haynes King for the reasons I mentioned. He has the most. We always heard over and over how difficult it is to learn Jimbo's system completely, and if that's true, he's been in that system for 3 years, and the other guys, this is their first year. And then again, Fisher telling us that he has, meaning Haynes, has NFL potential. Well, that would tell me that not only does he have the talent to play at a high level, but again, he's the only guy that has the most experience in that system. So that's why I would expect that Haynes King will be the quarterback, but again, I really don't think they're going to make a decision really till late August.
Olin, you kind of referenced a player no longer being on the team there with Damon Demas. And I remember when you were on my old show regularly, I mean, he was a player that the hype was just beyond belief. But there are a couple of other guys we used to regularly talk about. Baylor Cupp was one. He's no longer on the team. Luke Matthews now medically retiring as well. I think we probably talked about on occasion. Is there any more attrition that I'm missing there? And in particular, if you have any thoughts on those guys, great. But Demas, just how disappointing was that there was so much hype for him and expectations for him, and it just never really got going in College Station?
Well, extremely disappointing, and I think that wherever he may land, I still think the guy has amazing potential and still could have a heck of a career if somebody's going to, take him with all that baggage. As far as Baylor Cupp, he had so many injuries, and I was surprised to see him decide to transfer, but at the same time, with the injuries that he's had, and I think some of the talent they brought in at tight end, they brought in three of the top. They're not all here yet, but three of the top 10 tight end recruits, and then some others. So, I can only guess, because I haven't talked to Baylor, that maybe he just felt that either A, he wasn't going to get as much playing time as he hoped, or he just felt like he needed a new, just a new change of scenery. So it was disappointing, but I think they feel like they're still pretty good at that position.
Well, I mentioned this off the top, obviously expectations, and A&M's been down this road before, and it's a different thing now because they have been building, but they're also in a conference that's really deep. and they have people around them that are really good. Do you feel like this could be that next step? And what would be the next step in your opinion?
Well, the next step is winning the SEC West. I mean, they've shown in the last 2 years. 2 years ago, they showed they could beat every team on the schedule except Alabama. And then last year, they showed they could beat Alabama, and they did it with a backup quarterback, 2 true freshmen in the offensive line, and another guy who was a backup starting in that game in the offensive line. So, does that mean they're going to take that next step? No, but I certainly think that they're at that point now where anything less than being serious contenders. Now, we understand that things change with injuries, but anything less than serious contenders, as you look at them now, with if they're healthy, and I mean by healthy, you mean like a quarterback or your best player like a Devon Achane, but because we all know there's going to be a certain amount of injuries for everything. They're at a point now that I think they should expect to win at least 10 games a year and feel like that you have a chance to win the West. I think that's I think that's the way they should approach every season now. And if they fall short of that, they should look at it as underachieving or disappointing.
When is it realistic for fans to start expecting production from this recruiting class? I'm sure there's guys, Nolan, is such a highly recruited guy. I'm sure he'll contribute early, and some of the big 5-star guys will get their shots. But it's 2023 and 2024 where fans should really realistically start expecting that these guys should pay off maybe into college football playoff caliber teams?
Well, I think that as far as the individuals, you look at it and usually you say, hey, give them a year to get ready to adapt to the college game, and that's fair. So if you looked at it under that microscope, 2023 would be the year where you say, okay, this is the year to really make a move, because theoretically you'll have a quarterback now with a year of starting experience under him, and all those guys from this class will be, theoretically ready. But that said, A&M's been recruiting well for several years. They've had 4 top 10 classes in a row. How long do you have to wait before you can say, all right, now, before you can keep saying next year? So I think they should go in this year realistically feeling like they have a shot. Walter Nolan, he'll probably play. Evan Stewart, I think, great chance that he's going to play a lot, maybe even start. And if things fall just right, Cam Dewberry, a guard, from Kenyon Green's old high school, I think he has a chance to come in and start. Fisher has shown that he doesn't mind starting a freshman if he thinks he's the best guy. So I would expect to see several of those guys from this class make a contribution, and maybe a few even starting. But I don't think you should have to wait on these guys to feel like you have a shot. Again, you've recruited pretty well the last couple of years. It's time for all those guys to come in and show they can play and show they can win at a high level. And you can't keep putting it off.
Olin, you had an article over on TexAgs about the linebacker position and reflecting back on Buddy Johnson and the impact that he had. Can you kind of just summarize what fans can check out if they read that article, and just talk about your intent there as far as what they may be missing or what they're looking for at linebacker?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned earlier, they need to find that inside linebacker who could diagnose the play, step into the hole, and end the play at contact. And I think that they didn't have that last year. I think Aaron Hansford is better as an outside linebacker. He wasn't as effective moving inside. I think Edgerrin Cooper, the freshman last year, showed a lot of athleticism, great speed, good instincts, but I don't think he was ready to be that guy. Now, he might be, but the fact of the matter is, 2 years ago, A&M played an all-SEC schedule and was second in the nation in run defense. They gave up one run of over 30 yards. It was a 42-yard run by Tank Bigsby of Auburn. No shame in giving up a big run to him. But then last year, now, understand they did play more games, but still, they were like 35th. They dropped like 33 positions in run defense and gave up 5 runs of 30 yards or more, and then there was like 8 or 12 of 20 yards. It just wasn't the same. And I think yeah, you can say Miles Jones, a cornerback who's very physical, was out. He didn't play much, and they missed Bobby Brown. But I really think he came back. You just didn't have that reliable linebacker play. You didn't have that guy in the middle that could go and diagnose the play and make that tackle. Sometimes they'd make the hit, and guys would run through it. And I think because Buddy was a fourth-round draft choice, maybe some forgot just how good he was or took it for granted. But he had a hellacious year in 2020, and they really missed him. So they got to find somebody that can play linebacker the way he played linebacker.
All right, Olin, if Jimbo Fisher called you up and said, Olin, look, you're the only guy who can make this decision, which one would you make for him and why?
What do you mean?
Like position-wise right now. What do you think? Where would you say this guy's got to be the guy?
Are you meaning quarterback or
anywhere? I'm sorry, this probably didn't word it the right way, but yeah, quarterback anywhere, any position battle where he would ask you, who would you think? Where would you go?
Man, you know what? I think I would have to find a way to make sure that Evan Stewart is in the starting lineup as a wideout, because one of the things that A&M has missed on the offensive side is they haven't had that deep threat. The guy that defenses they can't bring a 9 or 10 guys in the box because they're afraid somebody's going to run right by you. They have it with Caleb Chapman, except Caleb Chapman has missed more games with injuries over the last 2 years than he's actually played. So you can't count on him. So I would think, the guy that could really bring another element to the A&M offense is Evan Stewart.
Olin, thank you. Appreciate your time. As always, great to talk a little football with you, and we will do that with 4 different programs today, including Texas A&M with Olin Buchanan, Texas